Hello friends, ITZA here, and I'm here to share with you guys a fun crafty project, and this is going to be for polymerclaytv.com, and I am so excited to share with you guys this fun project. Now we're going to be altering a bottle. Now this is a glass bottle, and I did not do the process on how I created this particular background, simply because I'm not used to thinking ahead when I create my projects. So most of the times it's experimental. If it's something that I haven't done before and I don't really know what I'm doing, I won't record it because the process can sometimes take me hours, or it can take me days to complete. So I thought it would be better for me to make one partial and then show you guys the steps on how I created this look on another bottle. So here I have another glass jar. Now these are either like my family knows that I love altering bottles, so if they find or they come across any nice looking bottles with nice shapes or nice colors, they'll save them for me. And a lot of these jars are also like tomato sauce jars or some kind of food product type of jar, and I just save them and I stash them away, and that's what these are. So I'm so happy with how this one turned out, and this one actually took me quite a while to get into, and there's just so much detail in it that I'm so excited to share with you guys. I created this frosty look, and all is using polymer, liquid polymer clay, and a few pieces of polymer clay here on the edges, and I'll share with you guys why. Now my intention is to eventually put this image of this mermaid that I sketched out and colored with color pencils. I use the color pencils as dark as I can, so that's why you don't see very many like different shading effects or whatnot. And this also is made from liquid polymer clay, so it's going to be a really fun process. And the purpose for me doing this ahead of time is because I wanted to add some kind of light to this bottle, and I figured out how, and you can see how it looks, that it actually does light up. So it was quite a process for me trying to figure out how to get to this point, and I'm excited to share with you guys how I actually did accomplish it. Now this is midpoint. This actually is ready to continue being embellished, and then it's ready for me to put my mermaid. And I have a few pieces that I already set aside, and it's just waiting for me to play with. So I'm also going to use the cute little octopus mold from the shop, and I'll go ahead and I'll put links below so you guys know where to go and where to get to some of these awesome products. So this is a little octopus mold, and I did use their screen, and this is, I'm not sure of the name, I don't have the name with me, but I'll put everything in the description box below. And here I'm not sure if the camera is going to capture it, but what I did was build sheets of polymer clay, and I did it by using Sculpey, and this is liquid polymer clay, and this bottle is almost out. The thing about this particular one, and this is bakeable adhesive for oven baked clay, It's an adhesive, but it's really like a really awesome product. It's multifunctional. This is your multi-medium for polymer clay. And I use this to create my mermaid. And I also use this to create the frosty look on my bottle here. And I created a few polymer, liquid polymer clay sheets with mica powders and stuff like that that I baked and I tore, and then I adhered it to the bottle here using this, the same product, and then it, you bake it and whatnot. But I also use polymer clay that is non-bakeable, that is air dry. And I had to use that simply because I wanted to add the light fixture, but I wanted to hide the wires. So in order for me to do that was for me to use air dry polymer clay. So that's what I used here on the outside, and I'll share with you guys the process in the video. So the first thing that I did was I washed my jar really good, and I made sure that I got rid of all the stickers and everything. So the jar needs to be clean. And then you take your Sculpey, and all you have to do is very simple to create the frosty look. All you do is, I am running out, so I'm gonna have to mix my Sculpey with my clear liquid polymer clay from Kato. So I'm gonna have to mix this with the rest of this to accomplish the look that I'm trying to go for. So it's very simple. Okay, so now you take your jar and you just let your liquid Sculpey just, come right on, like such. This is just a rubber tip tool that I have, but you can use a brush. And then you can just brush it out to the areas that you want to cover with your Sculpey, with your clay. I'm going to use this one. It looks like I'm completely out of this one. Now the difference between these two is that this one, it dries like, it leaves like a milky white look, and this one is completely clear, but the purpose should be the same because you're going to add color to your glass, so it's going to be fun. Now this is going to be a mixed media one, so I don't have like any particular pattern or anything like that. I'm just randomly working along and see what comes out and just work with it, That's just how I do it. These would make fun projects to do with kids, especially for the holidays, like fun Halloween projects or Christmas ornaments and stuff like that. These are really, really versatile, and the possibilities on altering a jar they're just endless. Okay, so I'm just gonna let that drip for a little bit. I am going to add a tea light to this. The opening on this jar is just big enough for me to fit a small tea light in there. So I'm going to leave the bottom portion open. Like I did here on this one, I left the center portion open. On this one, I'm going to leave the bottom portion open so that I can mess around with it and be able to have the tea light shine through. So once you're convinced on the layout that you did here with your jar, on what you did to it, you follow the baking instructions that come with your liquid polymer clay. That is very important, and depending on how thick and how big your surface is, that's going to determine the amount of time that you leave your jar in there. So this is glass and nothing's going to happen to it. The temperature isn't high enough for it to actually damage your jar. So we are gonna stop here and I'm gonna bake the jar, and when we come back we're gonna give it some color. Okay, so for this next part, we're gonna do some of the liquid polymer clay sheets, and we're gonna adhere them to our bottle at a later stage, but we're gonna create the sheets right now. And these sheets are so much fun because you can use them for any other project, any other time. Just use a little bit of it and store the rest for next time. It's just so versatile, so much fun. So for this one, you're gonna need some kind of tile or plate or something that's you feel safe putting in the oven, but you're not going to use to cook any food on afterwards. So I would highly recommend going to your local hardware store and purchasing one of these tiles, and they're very inexpensive, so you'll get a lot of wear and tear out of them, especially if you create with polymer clay. So this next step is very simple, and all you do is you take your liquid polymer clay and you're going to create a layer of it on your tile. I think it'll be a little bit faster if I take the lid off. So, yeah, okay. Make sure that you spread it out evenly. And go slow, don't pour it all at once. You don't want to waste your liquid polymer clay. So I'm going to take my rubber tool again and I'm going to help it move along so it gives it an even layer all the way across. Want to fill in any gaps that you might have. Move it along. I don't want to move it too close to the edge. I want to leave like a nice border around the edge. Now once you bake this, you can totally cut into it with scissors. You can glue it on with all kinds of different mediums. It can be rebaked onto another project with more polymer clay. It's just really, really fun. Now I'm going to use my mica powders. And I'm also going to use some micro beads. and some embossing powder. I like using the embossing powder, particularly this one, because it leaves a gold effect, like a gold tint. So I'm just gonna randomly just go crazy with my mica powders, you know, sprinkle them on. This is similar to like what you would do with the jelly prints, kind of. Now you can either bake this in your oven, or you can also, with your heat tool, you can also heat set it. But it's going to take a while to do that. I like to just pop it in the oven. Then you're going to take some kind of stick and you're going to move your mica powder around, give it some kind of visual effect, you know. You will have to let the liquid polymer clay settle again. Okay, now I'm going to add some micro beads. Now you don't want to move it around too much because you don't want to muddy the colors up. And then you just kind of, look how cool that looks. Okay, now this is ready to bake. I'm going to go ahead and pop this in the oven, and I'll be back and we'll get started with the next step. Okay friends, for this next technique, I'm going to show you guys how to create your liquid polymer clay images like this one. This mermaid was sketched and colored with color pencils, and I have done the same thing here, only I stamped the image with archival ink. And then I took my color pencils, and you want to color in as dark as you can, as nice even dark layers, so that your image is nice and bright when it transfers onto the liquid polymer clay. Okay, so once your image is colored, you take your liquid polymer clay again, and you're going to give your butterflies or your image a nice even coat. So make sure that it is even and that you cover all the areas that you want to transfer onto your polymer clay. Now don't worry, you're going to be able to cut around. You want to give yourself a little space so that you can cut around and give it some shape. And don't worry about baking your paper because the temperature of your oven isn't that high enough to burn your paper. So make sure that you follow the manufacturer's instructions for baking time and all that fun stuff. Okay, so there's one down. I'm not quite sure where I'm going to go with my bottles, so I have 2 images so that I have something to pick from. And it's also nice to have, you know, little embellishments lying around for whenever you're creating other crafty projects. So this is really fun and extremely addicting. I guarantee you guys are going to be looking for all sorts of stuff to transfer onto your polymer clay. So you have been warned. Make sure you don't have any air bubbles. If you do, just pop them with your paintbrush or pen or something. Nice and even, guys, remember. Okay, so once you're done and you have baked your image, you let it cool off, and once it's cooled off, you run it through some water, your image through water, and you remove the backing, which is the paper part. You rub it gently and the paper releases and the image stays put onto the liquid polymer clay. So that is awesome. Okay, so I'm going to pop this in the oven and I'll be back with the next step. Okay friends, so at this point my polymer clay sheet has been baked, and I did already peel it off of the tile, and all you do is just kind of lift the edges up slowly and, you know, peel it off, and this is what you're left with. And I cannot emphasize on how awesome this looks. And I also got out of my oven the butterflies that I stamped and colored with my color pencils. And this one I took the entire backing off already. So after it comes out of the oven, you let it cool off enough for you to be able to handle it, and you let your water run. And as your water is running, you put your image under the water and you slowly start rubbing off like this the backing until all the paper is lifted, and you're left with almost this translucent type of result. Now from here you can go ahead and adhere it to something, to a journal or to a project or whatnot, or you can also take your image and apply it onto a layer of polymer clay, and you can make jewelry out of it. You can make all kinds of fun stuff out of these transferred images. So this one I already took off the entire backing, and all that's left is all the color, all the color pencils and the stamp. So this is what's left, and I left this one halfway. I only took the paper off of one, and this side the paper is still on it, just to show you guys what it looks like. Okay, so these are my two butterfly images, and this is my liquid polymer clay sheet that I colored with some mica powders and some micro beads. And you can still see, I don't know if the camera captures it, but you can still see all the yummy micro beads there. Really cool and fun effect. And from here, all I did to create to adhere my liquid polymer clay sheets to my bottle here, all you need to do is, okay, so this is my bottle already baked also out of the oven, and you can see the frosty residue that got created out of the liquid polymer clay. At this point your bottle is ready to color, and again I'm going to show you guys really quick using some color sprays, just to show you guys really quick how easy and how fun it is to do it. So before I do that, I do want to add some of this yumminess onto my bottle, and it's really, you can see it's translucent. You can see my hand there underneath. So it's very easy. You can cut shapes out of it. You can also make jewelry out of this. Just put it on a nice thick layer of polymer clay and bake it again, and you got yourself some awesome jewelry with some great background techniques. So I'm just gonna tear little pieces of it. You can see how easy it tears. I don't want to use all of it all in one project. I just want to add those little extra texture, visual texture to it. And then you're just going to take your, again, liquid polymer clay, and you're going to use it as an adhesive now. So you take your polymer clay sheet that you just cut out, and you pick whatever side that you want to come through the most, and then you just, like I said, use it like you would any other adhesive, like if you were decoupaging your little strips here to your bottle. It's the best way that I can describe it. Okay, so there you can see I added, just moving it around to get some of that liquid polymer clay on the entire surface. Okay, so you just use your fingers and gently pat it down, and you're going to continue with as much or as little as you want to adhere to your glass container. And again, this just gives like really awesome visual effect. Okay, so now at this point you put it in the oven and you bake it, and let's assume that it's already been baked and it's ready to continue altering. So then after it's baked and cool enough for you to handle, you would take your color sprays and just color spray it. As simple as that. You can add as much or as little color sprays that you want. You can create as much visual texture as your heart desires. And that's exactly how I got to what I have here. Let me zoom out a little bit so I can show you guys. There you go. You can see. Now back to this bottle where I last left off. I added my octopus, and I added some pearls and crystals with some E6000, and I also took some mica powders, and I brushed it up against the octopuses to define them a little bit more so that they're a little bit more noticeable, and to give it like a kind of metallic pearlescent type of effect towards it. So this is how I got to this stage. And now I'm gonna get ready to create the top for my bottle and adhere my mermaid to it, and this project is as good as done. So I'll be back with more pictures of my finished project. Thank you. For this next technique, I'm going to show you guys how to add your little octopus embellishments to your bottle so that it looks like they're stuck, like literally stuck themselves onto the bottle. So you're going to take your, this is air dry translucent polymer clay. I'm just going to make it into a ball. You're going to take your mold and you're going to press your clay into your mold. Now I'm not too concerned on these little extra bits, and I'll show you guys why. Just make sure that you press it nice and tight into the mold so that your image comes out nice and crisp. And just peel it off. You can see the little octopus there. And you're going to take your bottle, and wherever you're going to place it, and hold it in place. Don't hold it too tight so that you don't smash your image. So you're just going to take some kind of tool. You're going to press on the excess clay and kind of smush it into your bottle. And this is going to adhere your octopus to your bottle, and you're going to eliminate all the excess clay that you don't need. And you can just put away for another project. See how all the extra clay is just falling off. And this is similar to how I added the light to the bottle. I took pieces of clay and I just smushed the clay on top of the wire so that it covers it. And this is going to adhere your molded image onto your bottle. Just smush the ends. And there you have it. I have 4 of them on my bottle. Now I'm just going to let this sit and dry. So at this stage, let's assume that your bottle is baked and ready for you to go to your next step. Your next step would be to take any color sprays. I like to use different kind. I don't like to stick to just one particular color or brand or anything like that. I like mixing it in, so really doesn't matter the brand, just whatever you have in hand, whatever you like. And color your bottle the way that you want. I want to give it that rusted look, so I'm using rusty hinges for the rusty effect. really like the way the colors blend into each other. I'm just going to let this dry. And you can add as much or as little as you want color. I'm going to let it air dry because there is that mechanism here for the light. And I don't want to burn that or break it in any way. Okay friends, so at this point my bottle is still getting dry, and the only thing I did was add these little crystals and pearls using E6000. Now it's still kind of damp, so everything in my bottle is kind of wet, but I did get to teach you guys all the awesome techniques on how I created this wonderful background. The only thing left for me to do at this point is wait for it to get dry and add these beautiful beaded and charmed chain here that I got from the shop, and this comes in this month's kit. And I'm just gonna add it here like so. It's still wet and I really don't want to mess anything up, so I'm just gonna add it with some jump rings and maybe do the top. I'm not sure on what I'm gonna do with the top just yet, so you guys are gonna have to stay posted and watch the pictures after the show for full details on the finished project for this mixed media mermaid Lagoon altered bottle. So you guys stay posted. Thanks for watching, and I hope I've inspired you all to create something beautiful and fabulous out of something that you would have normally tossed away. And be open to using new products, try new techniques, and experiment with what you do have. Experiment with it just like I've done here, and you can see how beautifully the color sprays took to the polymer clay. They're nice and bright and vibrant, and it's just really awesome, and I can't wait to take the pictures of the finished project. So if you guys have any questions, please feel free to leave me your comments and I'll try to get back to you all as soon as possible. And until next time, happy crafting.